Alrighty, so this how's she going today, guys? The cows are out. They're all over in that other section of pasture right now, eating away at whatever there is for green grass. There goes the mailman. I'm going to pull this old cultivator back out. I just parked it here last fall. I forget what wing I had to take off. This one. I'm going to reuse these two sections because I think they're alright, but I'm going to get rid of that one because it's broken. The rest of them are alright. But anyways, I'm making this video for Farmall, whatever your name was, I forget. It's a little bit windy too, but if you wanted to see some of the old equipment we have, there's some along the tree lines, and that's where the grain drill's sitting at, which we'll look at too. But here's this thing. There used to be a cultivator sitting right there, a bigger one, but we pulled that one out last year because we're going to use that one and retire that one, but I don't have enough parts to get that other one to work right now. So well, this is an old disc, just a single section pretty much, I guess. I don't know what brand it is. It's probably got to be a John Deere or probably a Case IH or something. I don't know where. It's just a disc. Probably could be salvaged. We'll just put some new wheels on it and it probably would be fine. New bearings here and there. So it's not hydraulic. None of our tools are hydraulic, except that. And that's not even our cultivator. That's the old timers John Deere cultivator. That the 1586 was hooked up to that last year. If you want to see that being used and the 1586, let me know, Farmall guy. I got some videos of working the 1586 from the first year I bought it and then last summer. If you want to see that. But here we have a wind. We have an old John Deere hay rake. This is much older than the new Haulin that we have sitting around the corner. Again, steel wheels. Probably could be salvageable, but I don't really care for this one. So I'm going to just drive on with the John Deere, or I mean with the new Haulin. And I don't know what this is supposed to be. This has got a sharp edge on it, so maybe it was a harrow or something at one time. Or a leveler. It's been sitting there for thousands of years. When over here we have a John Deere pull type swather. See, that toolbox is opened again. Every year I close that stupid thing, but the wind just keeps ripping it. Of course, it doesn't shut very well. I should just tie it shut. But that's an old toolbox. Missing some belts. Still has the chains. It is PTO driven. You can see the PTO shaft down there. But to raise and lower it, it's done with those hand levers. The reel was busted off. You probably could redo it, but you would need a new canvas thing here. Again, I doubt I'm going to use this because my 1586 would probably just rape it. This is an old International Greenbox trailer. You can hook it up to that green truck that's sitting over there. There's the plate number. But yeah, that's an old International Greenbox. We've used it as a trailer to haul stuff. That's about it. We have this old hay gatherer. Not really sure what it's called. Actually, should be needs to actually be hooked up and pushed further into the fence. You can see, I mean, these wheels, how high they are. I mean, they're up to about my chest. So those are some massive wheels, but some kind of a hay gatherer. I remember sitting on this thing that one year when my uncle was using it. I was just a little kid at the time. So, old barn, seen better days. This is an old two-bottom plow. I'm not sure what the make of this one is. We have another one over there, and that one's a Massey Ferguson. No, is it a Massey Ferguson? Or a Minneapolis Moline, I think it was. I don't know, but I'm not too sure what this one is. We've used this one many, many years ago. But you can see it's had rubber on it, but I think you could still use the steel to cut the tires off. The rubbers actually might have been added for a softer ride. I don't know, but we have that. We'll look at the old grain drill here in a minute. Right here was an old loose hay trailer. Of course, got destroyed in the windstorm many years back. There's the little calves. That's my uncle's, and then mine's behind the grain truck, or in front of the grain truck. All the rest of the cows are snooping around, doing stuff. So that's one area of the equipment. Like I said, we got more along the fence line there. But we'll... Oh yeah, we have another plow over here. So we have basically three plows. All could be fixed up and reused again, I think, if we felt like it. But there goes a cat. So I don't know. I think this one... See, I think this one was a John Deere as well. I don't know where my little calf's at. Oh, there he is. He's over by the building. That's my uncle's. I think this is an old John. This is a 3-bottom. Again, the 1586 have no problem pulling this guy at all. I think this is a John Deere. My cow's gonna both ram the shit out of me. Can't say we've ever used this. I'm sure my great grandpa's used it in the past, but we've never used it. Could be usable. Got a nice big cinder block there we could use. This has got the rubber on it though, so it's made to have rubber. It's got springs on it too. There's the old grain truck that I want to bring back to life, but it needs some engine work. It was parked because it had engine problems many years ago. This is the other one. Just got to put the tire back on. Yeah, this is a... What is this? Minneapolis Moline. This is also a 3-bottom plow. This is one that I think is more salvageable than the rest. They bent the handle out to straighten it though. So I don't know if we ever bought that, if my great grandpa ever bought that. New or used. I'm sure he bought most of the stuff used, but... And this is the New Haulin 56 Rake I want to bring back to life. This is not even ours, but it is now. But I pulled the jack out of the ground a few years ago. No, it was last year I did that. So it's ready to go though, pretty much. Hook up to the 15 and give her, but I have to change the oils and put new teeth on it. Here's the old grain truck. International L130. It's going to need some work. It's going to need a lot of work, obviously, but for what I'm going to use it for, it actually ain't going to really matter. Because actually what I want to do with this truck is turn it into a bale hauler. Right now we're just using it as a damn junkyard. Pretty much. It does have some engine problems, but maybe one day we'll fix it. Needs a new window put in. But it's a gas truck, it's not a diesel or anything, but I definitely wouldn't mind fixing her up and, like I said, hauling bales with it. And then, just because you probably don't give a shit, my favorite pickup has now been retired because of a transmission leak. This is the old pickup that I grew up driving as a little kid. It's been parked because of transmission problems, and of course we parked it this way because the gate here is dickered, so I'm going to replace that gate and we'll pull this thing out. But my plans is for this thing, it'll probably never see the road again, even though it's pretty shot. But ooh, look at the bed. The bed's pretty rotted out though. My plans were to turn this into a sprayer pickup. Put like a 50-gallon tank in the back, or 100-gallon, and then build custom booms, or order some booms, or custom make them that will mount to the bumper or something. Maybe 50-foot boom sprayer, I don't know. Don't really need a huge thing for this size farm, but I figured this pickup would be okay. It's only a 2-wheel drive, it's not 4-wheel drive, but I think for most conditions we'll be spraying in dry conditions, so we don't really need 4-wheel drive. If we need 4-wheel drive, I'm sure I could send it somewhere and have them put on a custom built kit for it or something. But I know that Farmall guy, a lot of cow shit everywhere too. I need to get a harrow and harrow this shit down. He was interested in this old grain drill. Well, here it is. This is a case. I don't think it's a Case IH, but I think it's just a case, or a JI case. Drill. The hitch is that way. So somehow it was pulled in this way before the trees grew in. But it does have everything. You see it's missing the tubes, or whatever, the tubes. Well, the tubes are, I think they're, it must be in the other box, but could be salvageable. I actually wouldn't mind putting this behind the 15 and yeah, there's all the piping, and they're metal, so they're taken off. But I don't know, you could probably, I think you could salvage it, but it's not going to do any good like the newer ones do. But for just drilling and then oats or wheat, I think it'd be alright. It's big enough. I mean, the 15 could easily pull probably a 30-footer, you know, but, well, maybe a 20-footer. I don't know. I think you could pull a much bigger seed drill because you're not putting them very deep in the ground like you would a cultivator or a disc. So I'm going to say maybe you could probably easily pull a 30-footer with a 15, but that's the drill. That's got steel wheels as well. Can't say when it was last used. It's been sitting there all my life, so. But I like it though. I like all this old equipment. I don't know what this. I think this is another cultivator that I probably should have pulled out instead, but there's fencing over this. A lot of this equipment was parked as fencing because the cows would walk right over the fence, I guess. So this has got she's got some big shanks on her too. She might be a heavy duty cultivator or something, I don't know. Then we have another cultivator. This one's even older. It's got the steel wheels. Again, something I wouldn't mind using because it's here. Oh, it's an IH too. I see an IH logo down there, or it's a Case IH. Again, I don't know where the hitches are. I was looking for the hitches, but I think they've been taken off at one point. So, They have to custom make one. And here, I think this is a chisel plow or a ripper, just by how the tines look. That looks like a chisel plow, or it could be a ripper. I mean, not much. It's got steel wheels as well, and then that big thing there, right there, is a a hay stacker. Like it's kind of like, it works like a baler, but then it doesn't bale it up. It just chucks it onto a wagon. You pull a wagon behind that. That's a loose hay table, picker-upper machine. Again, it's got steel wheels. Again, we'll probably never have a use for that. That's about it for that. Alrighty, guys. So, you guys seen the first part of the video there showing the equipment. Kind of got it cut off. My uncle was coming, so. But yeah, so we got the. You guys seen that we got the cows out doing their kitty things. Or kitty things. Wow. Doing their cow things. So, but yeah. So hopefully, I showed off the equipment good enough for you. So you can kind of see what we all have. We have one other piece of equipment that you didn't see, and you're not going to. Well, technically you can kind of see it, but you're not going to see it in this video. You could see it in the couple of videos actually. I think one of them was might have been the newest cold start video on the 1586, and when we were pulling that bale off the back of the pickup, you could see it. It's a oh, what do they call that? It's like an elevator thing for square bales. I forget what they call them. So obviously that thing hasn't been used in a lot of years either. It's actually sitting in between the two buildings right now. So, technically it's been sitting there ever since my great-grandpa's retired. Everything's been sitting. So, yeah. And look at what, I'm going to show you here too. Look at what we got. Let's see here. Let me see right here. The color difference. The road. We got some damn much needed rain. Not very much. Still don't have a rain gauge to stick in my yard. I know you can get them. You can get some fairly cheap ones, but those cheap ones don't last. They crack after a while. So, I don't know what you can do about it, but I gotta get a rain gauge. So we can see how much rain we get all the time, but that is what it is. So yeah, like I said, we have that elevator, hay elevator thing, sitting in between the two buildings there. It's actually a tree's kind of surrounding it. So that's all we have for equipment. I think at one time we had a harrow, but since they were made out of wood back in the olden times, they don't last. And how I know that, let's see, what the hell did I do with them? Because I have these things here. We have these things here, and I think these were tines for a old school harrow. And they're honestly not in too bad shape. I think I could get quite a long time out of those things. That was sitting down in the woods, plus some other junk. and I brought that old harrow up here. It was falling apart, obviously, because the wood was shot, but I just took all the all those teeth out, and I figured, now one day maybe I'll, make another harrow. We actually could use a harrow right now. I know that the young guy said he was going to give me a couple of sections because he doesn't need them anymore. But he's never given them to me yet, so I suppose I'm sure he'll want something for him, but he didn't say anything about price, so whatever might not be any good for him might be, decent for us. Because we do need a harrow for the gardens and for tearing up cow shit and stuff like that. So, but yeah. So, that's basically all we got for equipment. And then you saw that cultivator that I was working on there that was had the four-wheeler hooked up to it or whatever. That's ready to go. That was also parked by the north garden between a couple of trees. I sat there for a lot of years, of course, some weeds and stuff grew up in it and stuff. But at the time when my sister was living here, she was living in this house. You see the garage and everything right here. She was living there. And her ex-boyfriend wanted the garden. So he fired up. We have an old tiller. We have two tillers, actually. We have this newer one, and then we have a much older one, but we retired the old one because it was having some engine trouble, and we didn't have the parts to fix it, and didn't even know if you could even find parts of those old engines anymore. So, but now, of course, this one's torn apart too as well. So, but that old cultivator, I believe that's what my great-grandma, my great-grandma, my great-grandpa used when they were gardening, before tillers were invented, because it's pretty small. It's even smaller now because I took that one section off. But I have spare tines now. Actually, this is a tine right here. This popped off that broken wing a while back too. That's why I was thinking of retiring this cultivator, because this tine popped off. Now, I mean, I can redo the tines, because usually what happens is that the bolts get loose, but you can't retighten them because they're just so messed up. So, you can't tighten the bolts and squeeze that plate back together. So what ended up happening was I didn't see this one that was loose. It popped out on me, and then I suppose about 20 minutes later, the damn handle broke off. So, I mean, yeah, I probably could have welded all that stuff back together, but I don't think my MIG welder could crank out enough heat and power to weld. It was not a very thick lever anyway, but if I had to, I mean, I would either use a stick welder on that instead of using a MIG welder. I just think stick welders would do better than a MIG, but all I have is a MIG. I've actually been thinking about getting a stick welder as well, but as of right now, all I have is a MIG welder, which works fine for a lot of my projects. So, yeah. So, but we got that cultivator. We brought that bigger John Deere one up, the one that you didn't get to see. Actually, to that Farmall guy that wanted to see the equipment, I do have a video on me attempting to pull out that cultivator, that big John Deere cultivator. Not the old timers, but that littler one that we have. I made a video trying to pull it out with the 15, but it just wasn't going to work. So we ended up getting out the 400, because the 400 had a much lower hitch on it than the 1586. Hitch is too high up, and I didn't want to Wasn't gonna try to pull it out with a chain, but my chain just wasn't. Was nowhere near strong enough to do that. So we even ended up bending one of my hitch pins. I threw it away. It's in here now. But yeah, so right here actually, this was the original hitch that I had in Big Red. I had to go get a new one. We even broke the handle off. Of course, the handles are never really that strong to begin with, but you can see that's a fairly thick pin. And the cultivator was just so stuck in the ground that the pin just couldn't take it. So, but we managed to get her out eventually, and it just took some. I think we ended it up. I think we ended up sticking the loader under it and lifting up and pulling the wheels out because the wheels were. Everything was so far in the ground, even the tines were deep in the ground. So, there wasn't really no pulling it out. So we ended up having to lift it out, which is fine too. But that's what's going on. But I need to get a couple of things for the big cultivator before I can use it. And I also need to grease it. I greased a little bit of it last year, but it's not enough. Still getting some trouble with it, but that's probably the reason why it was parked. But come on, stay there. That was probably the reason why it was parked, but I think I can work around it somehow. We'll figure it out. Probably lube it up really good and stuff. Leave everything up real nice. So. And we'll get it back to working again like it should be, but we'll see. But I was going to buy a new cultivator. You can get those pull type ones, obviously. From Northern Tool. I think they sell a 48-inch. They used to sell I think a slightly bigger one. But for some reason they ain't making them anymore. Now they're making this 48-inch, which is fine. It only requires 500 cc's and up to run, so, or to handle that load. So even the X724 can handle it. So yeah, they said we're supposed to have storms until about 8 o'clock tonight. But the sun's out now. It might be a spotty thing too. Who knows? But the trees are starting to get leaves on them. They're starting to sprout, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. This tree probably, these trees right here are going to be last, because they were last year. I think because these trees are old, or they might have some kind of a disease and it's slowing them down. You can see that they're nowhere even near it yet. So, probably taking those trees down at some freaking point too. So, but yeah, so that's about it. There isn't much going on. I did check the gardens today. I haven't checked the gardens really since fall of last year. Technically, they are ready to go. We could seed if we wanted to, but it's not quite seasoned. It's not. What the hell's that damn noise now? Jesus. Bouncy. Technically, we could seed now if we wanted to. One, we don't have any seeds. And two, it's a little bit early yet. I think we don't get in until maybe the 15th of this month. Just because, there's still a good chance that we could get, another dumping or snow or cold or whatever. We actually did go through another cold spell for about a day. A couple days ago, it got down to about 25 at night. And then it barely got above, probably 40, or even probably 35 that same day. So it was, well, that was only for like 1 or 2 days, and then obviously it went back to being warm out again. So, I don't know. It's kind of stupid weather, but that's usually the way it is. But, everything's good to go. We're not going to obviously be able to use a tiller. One that's a $250 transmission part. Who knows when I'll get around to buying that. So, technically what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to plant really wide apart. So we're not going to really be able to plant a lot. Only just because it's the only way I'm going to be able to cultivate or, rip the weeds out in between the rows is I have to use the cultivator. So that's going to be kind of offsetted as well. So it's going to be kind of tricky to do, but we'll figure it out. You got to learn one way or another. But I was hoping to have had, to use the big cultivator, and then have this thing fixed up and ready to go already by now. This has been torn apart now for about maybe a year and a half. So, but it's an expensive part, and I got other things to do. So, Big Red and my John Deere need work too. So, and they're more important right now. So, I got to do them. And for some reason, some of my parts for Big Red are like non-existent. Like you can't find factory stuff anymore. You kind of can, but then you kind of can't. Like the air filter for Big Red. It's still like they still have that part number out there, but it no longer exists for these 2010 Sportsmans. It's for all the other ones now, which I don't believe. That's a crock of shit. I thought maybe they were updating their numbers. They said that for one of those things I was looking up, they updated the number, so it's something else now. But when I go to punch that number in on the Polaris website, it either doesn't exist or it's not related to that part. It's a totally different part, So I was like, oh, Jesus. So I don't know what Polaris is really doing. I don't know if they're getting away from making parts or what. I don't know. I think I've been through this bullshit last year, too, trying to find parts for Big Red. I don't know. Maybe it's just something they do. Maybe after a certain amount of years, they get rid of him. They don't make the parts anymore. You have to go find aftermarket stuff. Which I can find aftermarket stuff. I can't find the Polaris factory part number for the belt. Unless I rip that belt off. Well, they would have changed it anyway by now. So, I have to go find a aftermarket one off of eBay. Which I found one, but they want like damn near $70 for it. But there's nothing I can do about it, You got to have parts, so it's just the way it's going to be, I guess. But I don't know if they quit making parts altogether. I'm sure I would be able to find aftermarket. But how much longer am I going to be able to find aftermarket shit too, right? So something's telling me probably in the next few years I'm going to have to get a new machine. Because who knows how much longer they're going to keep making aftermarket parts. Even they're getting kind of hard to find. So, I don't know. As long as I can keep finding aftermarket parts that will apparently fit to my machine, I'm just going to buy aftermarket parts. And I don't really want to. I'd either stick with Polaris parts, but if Polaris is going to be a dink and not make their parts anymore, then the hell with them. I'm sure they still make plenty of parts for all their newer machines, but I think after a certain amount of time, they don't make parts anymore. You have to find aftermarket. So, because that's how some businesses are. I think even John Deere is that way too. you really can't find original parts anymore for those really old equipments. I don't think I ever could find parts for that really old John Deere cultivator of mine, or that seed drill. I can barely find parts for the 1586. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, I can find it, but the main one that I'm looking for my 1586 is the tilt steering kit, and they're very hard to come by. So, of course, I mean, not anyone's just going to list it on their website like, hey, we got one of these. Basically, you'd have to get a hold of your dealer or a salvage yard and have them keep an eye out for one. That's what all you can do. But whatever, it is what it is. So that's what's going on. So we are going to try to garden this year, but I don't know how much we're going to be able to do because of just I didn't get any soybeans like I did last year. Last year we planted soybeans in the gardens because the tiller was down and we just didn't feel like messing with it. But I don't know. My grandma thinks we ought to just let it grow back in the grass. I think what I'd probably end up doing if we do decide to quit gardening. I mean, we've been doing this, I suppose, since it's on and off. But we didn't really get serious about it until about 2011, 2012. Because that was kind of a couple of years after we had already owned Big Red. And that was when my sister was living there. So that's when Big Red started working, that's when Big Red started gardening. But then my grandma I guess you could say she kind of got jealous. And then she wanted to start. So then we started ripping, the north garden is a garden, that's always been a garden. The south garden hasn't been a south garden in probably many, many years. I think that was most of this yard. That was a pain in the ass to work back up, but a lot of junk in there too. But the north garden has always been a garden, because that one's been plowed before. Back in the olden days, back in the day, when it was basically just my grandma doing it, the only way we could ever plow that garden, especially break it up for the first time, was we had to use one of those 2 or 3 bottom plows. And that was actually kind of tricky to do because the 400 has a loader on it. So it was kind of hard to do. The thing I'd like to do would be to get the old Farmall B up and running, which I've been trying to hint at my grandma for the last couple of years. That tractor does leak. But I think it just needs new gaskets on certain stuff, and I think it would be fine after that. But I wanted to put that on the cultivator. It might be able to handle that big one, because really we're not putting that thing very deep in the ground. The way it's actually set now, I think it's set as high as it'll go, but it goes in the ground plenty deep enough. And I've never even cranked it down to see if it'll go any deeper. It goes down. I think at least the shanks go deep. They get buried. But I really can't test to see how deep I really want to go because the 4-wheeler can barely pull it. So that's where the 1586 would come into play with that. But I feel like the 1586 is just too big. It'll do it, but I think it's just it's extremely overkill for little gardens like we have. That's why I wanted to get the old little John Deere B up and running. I think that would be plenty big enough to still handle it. She might struggle a little bit, but I think she could do it. Wouldn't be too much of an issue, I don't think. But gotta get it out of that frickin' building. And of course the frickin' floor's falling in too. So yeah. So, but for the old cultivator, I guess you guys already saw this. This is the kind of tines it has on there. This is the part right here that actually goes in the ground. You can tell by how it's rusted. Well, it doesn't take long for them to get shiny again. But some of these are actually pretty worn out. There's actually some chunks missing out of some of them. But that's where it's supposed to be squeezed together on the mount. There's supposed to be a plate. So, but this is going to be a spare tine. Because for that one part of the cultivator, it actually has a broken tine on it. So I might just replace that broken tine with that one, and then be good. So, what are you doing, kitty? So yeah, it would be nice to get the old Farmall B up and running and let that do all the garden work. It's probably going to need a lot of attention. It's definitely going to need an oil change and hydraulic oil change probably. I don't know if it's got hydraulic on it. I don't think so. It used to be a mower tractor. That's what it always did. It had a sickle bar mower mounted on the side, the right side of the tractor. My grandma told me stories about that. My grandpa used to run around town and he would he'd cut some of the ditches and some hay fields and whatnot around here. If that's true, I don't know. Someone that's been here since the 40s could probably tell me that, if that's true or not, but I don't know. But I don't have a use for that. I don't even know where the damn sickle bar part is. I'm sure it's in the building or somewhere, but if anything, I'm probably just going to take all that shit off, even though it's extra weight. Don't really need it because it's got wheel weights. I'd probably just take that freaking thing off. Get rid of the extra bit of weight and then just use the hitch. Probably could even put if it's got a PTO on the back, I think it might have a belly pull or a belt pulley on it. But I'm not 100% sure if it's got a PTO on it. I'm sure it does. But the problem with those old tractors is that they offsetted them for some stupid reason. So technically, whenever you should hook up something that's PTO driven, you have to offset it with that so your shaft is straight. Of course, you can put it straight with the tractor too and have your PTO on an angle, but it kind of hurts the U-joints after a while. Because that'd be a great little brush hogging tractor right there. It'll do my trails. If I could still find a PTO driven pull type brush hog. I don't think they make them anymore either. And it does not have a 3-point, so that's out of the question for getting a 3-point brush hog for it. But I guess I could put the sickle bar mower back on it and use that as the mower, which would be fine too. But that's offsetted, and you could hit a stump or something. You probably wouldn't be able to see it. I don't know. I guess anything would work, but if it's all seized, there ain't gonna be no point. But whatever. So yeah. So anyways, guys, to the Farmall guy, I guess I can't remember your full name, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. I don't know. I don't know. That's all we have for equipment. I already made a video on the Farmall A, but this was a quick video, or the Farmall B, I mean. And then, of course, you've probably seen the 400 in action. It's been in some past videos. But I know that you said that you like your dream tractor is a 1586. So if you want to see mine in action, there are some videos of it working ground and stuff like that. So that was from last year, and then the fall before that, when I was chisel plowing with it. So if you want to see all those videos, just ask. Or you can just go look for them yourself, whatever. Just go to my channel and punch in 1586, and I'm sure they'll eventually pop up somewhere. And that actually should be the first thing that pops up is my tractor. So, but yeah. So that's all that's going on. Is that I wouldn't mind I wanted to put the Farmall B in here So at least I could work on it, but my grandma has not having no part of that. Why, I don't know. She don't want it leaving the farm. It's like, well, it's not technically leaving the farm. It's just going to go in here to be worked on. And once it's running, it can go back over there. But, of course, you'd have to pull it all this way. So, probably for just the best to let it sit there. But I doubt we'll ever get it out. So, unless I just do it myself. Wreck the building, you wreck the fucking building. It's a piece of shit anyway. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, I'm going to take off. I'm going to go do some other things and start editing this video and get it ready for tomorrow. And, whatnot. So, yeah. Alrighty, guys, so I'm going to take off. So, I guess, have a good day and stuff. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Take her easy.